Okay. Good morning, students. I hope you all have enjoyed your vacations.
Good morning, ma'am.
Morning, ma'am.
Okay. So today we are going to start with rule-based classifier. Okay. In our previous lectures, we discussed about decision tree. One more classification techniques we are going to explore today, and which is based on rules. Okay. So this rule-based classifier is actually a technique for classifying the given set of records with the help of if something, if then rules. Okay. So hmm. so here if you will observe, then these are the rules. Okay. So this is actually an example of a model which is generated by your rule based classifier for classification problem. Okay. So if any rule is given in the form of this R1 up to Rn, okay, then this is called as the rule set. So this is complete R1, R2, R3, R4, R5. This is the rule set. Okay. And this particular R, this particular R, this particular R, this particular R is called as the disjunct. Okay. So now how will you classify any R? Let's take one example. Uh, that some rule, some rule is given like, some condition is given. Okay. And if this condition is true, then your this class, okay, we have to predict this class, then let's assume your class will be yi. If this condition is met by your input, then your input will belong to this particular class. Or so this left hand side set of conditions is called as the rule antecedent, or I can say antecedent. Okay, or I can call it antecedent, or I can call it as a precondition. What is precondition? If something given left side is true, then we have to find out whether right hand side is uh, you know coming or not. This right hand side is called as the consequent. Okay. Now how this condition will be defined? As you can see here, this condition will be defined on your set of attributes. Okay, with the help of some logical operator. Now that logical operator can be this, it can be this. Okay, so with the help of these logical operators defined on these attributes, we can define conditions. So let's take example. This is a1, a2, a3, a4, a5. So I can write like a1, some operator, logical operator. Let's take condition like x, and let's this is defined on this. One more part we can add y. If this condition is met, then it will belong to some class x2. Let's write it x2, then it will belong to class y1. In this way we can define the rule. So one precondition will be given, where condition is the conjunction of test on the attributes and y is the label, class label. Okay, so this is an example of a classification rule. If this is the data set, your name, blood type, give birth, can fly, live in water is given for various records, and its class level is defined. So very simple example is here. If blood type is warm and it lays egg, then it belongs to bird. Very simple. So blood type is warm and lays eggs. Blood type is warm, lays eggs. Okay, that particular attribute is not given because this is just an instance in this PPT. Few more, attributes will be given here. Has legs, lays eggs, or what is skin cover. Okay, so in this way, rules can be defined. Now, if you will observe this, if you will observe this, then rule 1. What is this rule 1? If okay, gives birth no, can fly yes. Let's check. Gives birth no, can fly yes. No, yes, no, yes. This one. This is meeting. This is meeting. This is meeting. If these two conditions are true, okay, then it will belong to birds category. Let's check. Yes, it is bird. Yes, it is bird. Yes. So I can say that this rule is, if this precondition is true, then it will belong to birds. Okay. Similarly, let's observe two. Second rule, gives birth no, lives in water yes. Gives birth no. Okay. Gives birth no, lives in water yes. Lives in water yes. Gives birth no. Yes, I think these two instances are true only. Right? It belongs to fish, it belongs to fish. And if you will observe this rule, it is also deriving the same class. Similarly, if you will observe this, if gives birth yes and blood type is warm, then it belongs to mammal class. If gives birth no and cannot fly, then it belongs to reptiles class. If it lives in water sometime, then it is amphibian class. Okay. So what I can say, that if you want to classify these labels on the basis of these attributes with the help of rule based classifier, then you have to come up with few rules where conditions will be defined for you know uh, deriving its attribute values. Now how will you find out? For bird, these two should have been selected. How will you find out? Or for classifying reptiles, these two attributes should be, because how your model does not know. Okay, these rules are derived with the help of your selected algorithm, but initially this rule set is empty, right? So how will you find out these rules? That is a later part where we will find out how to derive such type of rules. First, we will have a little bit more depth discussion about these rules. Okay, so I can say that a rule R covers an instance X if attribute of this instance satisfy the condition of the rule. Okay, so if you will observe these two, let's assume this is the set of rules given to you. Okay, now you have to find out for this particular data set where hawk is given, you have to find out what is the class. Okay, so what will we do? We will find out which one is matching. If any precondition is satisfied, if any rules precondition is met by the rule, or if precondition of the rule is met by the record, then we will say that this particular rule, let's assume, okay, there is one data set and one entry is xi, and one rule is there, okay, where a precondition is like this, okay. Sorry, t, let's assume your record number is t. So precondition of this rule is xi, okay. Now if this particular record t is meeting this particular precondition, then I will say that this rule covers this particular attribute, sorry, record, okay. So if a rule r is covering any particular, if a rule r is covering any particular, record t, if and only if the precondition of this r, which is x in this case, matches the attributes of this t, okay. This is your record number. Now, t, t1, t2, t3, let's assume these three properties were there. So if all these three properties are matching the precondition x, then I will say that this particular rule covers this attribute, and it has been, this rule has been fired, okay. So this attribute, sorry, this record t is firing this particular attribute, or I can say this rule is triggered, okay. So when it will be triggered, when it will cover the particular given record for the specific attributes defined for in that particular specific rules, okay. So now if you will observe this one, now you have to find out, sorry, now you have to find out whether this records class level, okay. So let's check. Blood type is warm, okay. So how many matches are there? Blood type warm, okay. Now gives birth, no. Here gives birth was yes. Can fly, yes. Gives birth, no. Gives birth, no. So this condition we got only once. Gives birth, no. Gives birth, no. Gives birth, no. Three matches are there. Can fly, yes. Can fly, yes. Okay, so now if you will observe this rule number 1, you will check, you will see that both conditions which have been defined by this R1 are met by your record number 1. Okay, so I can say that it belongs to birds. So its class is bird. Simple. So I can say that this rule R1 covers hawk. Okay, hawk record, and its output is bird. Okay. So what will happen? One training set will be there and one testing set will be there, right? So this training set, complete record set will be given as the input. Now with the help of classification algorithm, rule based classification algorithm, some model will be prepared. Where and how a model looks like for a classifier, rule based classifier, rules will be defined, okay, something, set of rules will be defined. Now this is the output of the algorithm on the basis of this record. Now these rules will be evaluated for this test set, okay. So we will take first record, we will check which rule is struggling, then its equivalent, class label will be given as the output. Again we will check, then output will be found. In this way is on in this way we can find out the uh, output. Similarly, let's take one another record, grizzly bear, okay. Blood type is warm, gives birth, yes. Now this time it is yes. Can fly, no. Lives in water, no. Now I have to find out warm. Blood type is warm. Okay. Gives birth, yes. Gives birth, yes. Okay. So I will say that rule 3 is triggered. Okay. Now I will define it as a mammal. Its class label will become mammal. Okay. So in this way, we can find out for the unknown inputs. Now, when you want to evaluate the quality of your classification rule, then it can be done with the help of coverage and accuracy. All right. So, uh, what is coverage of a rule? Fraction of records which satisfy the antecedent of a rule. Okay. Out of all the records, how many, so this will be actually done for each and every rule. Okay, so let's assume there are rules 1 2 3. So I have to find coverage of r1. I have to find out coverage of accuracy of r1. So this metric is specifically designed for evaluating the quality of a given rule. So coverage of a rule. All right. So how many records are actually matching? Similarly, accuracy. Accuracy gives the fraction of records which satisfy the antecedent that also satisfies the consequent. Okay. So both things should be matched. And this D actually defines how many records are there. Okay. So if this is D, okay, and some rule is like then you have to find out the coverage and accuracy. So it will become more clear with the help of this example. If some rule is given like this, okay, status single, then no. So for coverage, we will check for the antecedent. Okay, status is single. So here single, 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 4. Okay, how many records are there? 10. 4, 10. And it will be defined in percentage. So I can say 40%. Similarly, accuracy. Now for accuracy, I will check here. For coverage, I just checked precondition, but for accuracy, I have to check for their, you know, uh, consequent also. Okay. So single, no. So this is first instance. First single output is no, and my rule is also saying no. Second one, single, no, yes, it is getting matched. This also got matched. Single, yes, no, it did not get matched, right? Output does not get matched here. Single, yes, also it does not get matched. Okay, so how many are actually matching both this and this? Only 2 out of 10. So I can say it is, sorry, um, I have written, so how many were actually there? 4, right? 4 matches were there, and out of these 4, how many are actually getting matched for their class level? 2. So I can say accuracy is 50%. Similarly, if this data set is given. Let's take example of this R3. Okay, gives birth years, when did we get disconnect?
Just a minute ago.
Okay. So we were here, right? So did we discuss this example?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay then. So now let's assume we want to check properties or a performance metric of third rule. Gives birth yes, blood type is warm. Okay, so if you will count how many are there, how many records are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 20 records are there. Now, out of this 20, we have to check how many records are there. So out of these 20, we have to find out how many, what is the, accuracy and what is the coverage. Okay. So what does coverage say? Where antecedent matches. Gives birth, yes, blood type is warm. Gives birth, yes, blood type is warm. One, warm. Right. Apart from these, any other matches there? One, two, three, four, five, six. Six matches are there, right? Six out of what? 20. Now accuracy. For these six, I have to find out this output is matching or not. For first one, yes, it is matching. For second one, yes, it is matching. For third one, yes, it is matching. For fourth one, it is matching. Fifth one, it is matching. Sixth one, it is matching. So I can say out of these six, six are getting matched. So I will say accuracy is 100%. And what is
And
the
your screen
coverage?
is going.
Screen is not visible.
No, no.
Okay. there is some issue. Okay, so we cannot waste time. Okay, so if, if you will observe that example, as we counted, 6 matches were there. Okay, so coverage is 6 out of 20. Okay, coverage. And what is the accuracy? All were matching, 6 out of 6. So this is 100%. What will be the coverage? Calculator will tell me. ये 6 divided by 20 कितना आएगा आंसर?
मैम 0.3
0.3 आगे
मैम बस
so I can say 30%. Okay, so now how your rule based classifier works. Rule based classifier will classify your text record on the basis of the rules which have been triggered by the record. Okay, so if various records are given. Okay, so let's take example. Rule R1 is there, R2 is there, R3 is there. Okay, records T1, T2, T3 and T4 is there. Okay, now if some condition is there, like okay, this T1 is triggering R1, T1 is triggering R1. Okay, very good. T2 is actually meeting the condition of R2 and R3. Then problem is that I have to find out. Let's take one well, another one is bird. Now if precondition of both rules is getting mapped by T2, then it will become problematic, right? And let's assume T3 is there, which is not getting mapped to any of the rules. Then how will we deal with this? So that's why whenever we are having a classification problem, we have two properties which should be mutually exclusive rules or exhaustive rules. Okay, mutually exclusive rule when two rules, no two rules are getting triggered by the same record. Like here, T2 is triggered R2 and R3 both. So such type of condition should not exist. Mutually exclusive. Each and every record is mutually exclusive in terms of rules. All rules are different. Then type of is that is called as the mutually exclusive rules. One is exhaustive. Exhaustive is that there will be a rule for each and every combination of attribute values. Okay, so this property will actually ensure that each and every record T2, T3, T4 will be covered by at least one rule in your set of R. Okay, sorry, this set of R. So these two, mutually exclusive and exhaustive. Mutually exclusive says that one record should trigger only one rule. Exhaustive rule says that each and every record should actually at least trigger one rule. So if these two properties will be satisfied, then I can say that each and every test record will get classified, right? So for that we have two types of strategies: ordered rules and unordered rules. Okay, so uh, gives us a rule set where rules are ordered in decreasing order of their priority. Okay, so high priority one will be at up, at top, and then after that least prior one there, then after that more least prior one there will be there. So this type of ordered rules will give us decision list. Okay, whenever any test record will be presented to this set of rules, it will be classified by the highest ranked rule first, which will be covering the record. For example, let's take R1 is there with higher priority, then R3 is having more priority, then R2 is having priority, and let's assume that T1 is triggering R1, T2 is again triggering R1, this T3 is triggering R3. So what happens, first for this T2 I will check for R1 if it is it is triggering R1 or not. If it is not triggering, then we will go to R3. If again it is not triggering, then we will go to R2. So but most of the time trigger will be done for the higher priority based ones. In unordered, what will happen, triggering will be based on a particular class. For let's assume if some class is yes, some classes. So I am collecting all the rules for yes first, and one default one I will make, and all the negative one will be triggering those rules. So on the basis of their class level also, we can define the rules, which will be called as okay. So there are few rule ordering schemes. Okay, so rule based ordering scheme actually says that on basis of priority your rules will be defined. Class based ordering says that on the basis of the class records will be classified. Okay, so, but how will we build a rule based classifier? For that we have fictional algorithm. Again, for ordered and unordered, we will be having various type of algorithms. There is there. So Ripple will be actually utilizing the concept of sequential covering algorithm. Uh, Let me try to open this again if it is open or not. It's not opening. Okay. But if you will visualize along with the example, then it will become more clear. Okay, tomorrow do we have lecture?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then tomorrow I will cover it. Okay, so the sequential algorithm we will cover tomorrow. Okay, thank you everyone. I'll rest my lecture here only.
Thank you, ma'am.